Good morning, good afternoon, wherever it may be in this place we call Earth. Welcome to the Species Canine Podcast. I'm Jared, your host. Today, we are discussing something that was actually prompted by a current and new client that actually started with me this week. The top 5 myths in dog training. And stick around to the end to where I add a special 6th myth that I think a lot of trainers are really missing out on the ethology of, and it's a game changer for working with your dog and communicating with them in a way they communicate. This is Species Canine Podcast. Stay tuned. All right, so top 5 myths plus my bonus at the end. First one, let's go ahead and debunk this right now, which I've kind of done in some other things, but wanted just to recap it because it constantly comes up. And that is the myth of being alpha. So for those who've watched the videos, David Mech, he's a wildlife biologist, made his name studying wild wolves. He was the first one to really do it in the wild. Up until this point, we had Rudolf Schenkel, who was studying captive wolves, and he alluded to the alpha myth, but in his own writings, in his own paper, he said, these are captive wolves. These are not family units. What I'm seeing here could not be correct. And he was right. He was spot on. What he saw was a lot of aggression because these were not family units. They were not working together. There were all kinds of different wolves from all over, like red wolves, like gray wolves, timber wolves, Arctic wolves, all thrown into captivity. And you're going to see a lot of infighting and a lot of aggression. And that's what he witnessed. It wasn't until the late 90s where we started seeing David Mech's studies come out about the lack of aggression within a pack and who had first rights to limited resources. And by default, any wolf that lives long enough, finds a mating partner, and has puppies is alpha. David Mech himself has come out and said, I wish I never would have used that term alpha, because it implies that this is status is reached through some type of force or aggression. And that's not the case. The number one cause of deaths of wild wolves are other wolves. So you don't get some big male wolf who's out there looking for a pack that rolls into a territory of another wolf pack and kills the male. And now by default, he's the alpha. That does not happen. A lone wolf rolls into the territory of another wolf pack. They're going to kill him and eat him. He'll be the menu for that week. That's not how that works. So when people and trainers out there saying, oh, you got to show your dog, you're the alpha, blah, blah, that's all bull. And you don't have to alpha roll your dog. You don't have to show any aggression. Just having first rights to limited resources. By limiting access to things, because as humans, we have opposable thumbs, your dog will now say, oh, they have first rights. I'm okay with that because they're going to provide. End of story. That's alpha. That is being dominant, just simply controlling those first rights. Not letting your dog constantly, initiate affection and things like that. You control those things. By default, you are now the alpha. Okay. You are the one who's dominant. You're controlling resources. It's that simple. It's really that simple. And it's in the science. You just have to go read it. Number 2 myth. Treats equal bribery. Now, this is on the opposite end of purely positive dog trainers who think that you need to do compulsionary training, that if your dog doesn't sit the first time you sit him, you start blasting him on an e-collar. There is, and they still do, franchise companies that the very first day of dog training, they're going to put an e-collar on the dog and they're going to start blasting it. First, the dog has to know what the hell sit means, or down, or come, or whatever it means. The second language to them, okay? So treats does not equal bribery. Treats equal a reward. It's a positive reinforcement to a behavior. And we know through basic science and basic psychology, if you apply a reward to a behavior, the likelihood of that behavior increasing goes up. Okay? Very simple. Works in everyday life. You go to work, you're expecting a paycheck on a very set schedule that you're going to be reinforced. If that check does not come for whatever reason, the chance of you going back to work the next day is much lower. Okay. So we have to use something as a reinforcer to increase behavior. It's not bribery. It's just a simple reinforcement. That's all it is. It's that simple. It's just a reinforcement. And the way we do training here at Species, we get off of those in second and third phase, and we start fading off a lot of the treats because the dog understands already. And we go to those variable reward schedules and things like that. You can check out those videos on my site and on the channel here. So how that all works. So that's myth number 2. Myth number 3, and I come across this constantly when I'm working with new clients. My dog is stubborn. Stubbornness is a human trait. Stubbornness is an unwillingness to do something regardless. I have no fathomable idea or thought in my mind to want to go climb Mount Everest. I don't want to put the time, the money, the exposure. It's not worth it to me. No amount of reinforcement would ever convince me to attempt to do something like climb Mount Everest. My early 20s, absolutely. You want to pay for the trip? I would have gone. Now, this time in my stage of my life, absolutely not. I don't want to be that cold. I don't want to be that tired. I don't want to be at that level of elevation. No, it's just not worth it to me. Okay. That's a stubborn. That's just an unwillingness. No matter what happens, I am not going to do this. A stubborn dog doesn't exist. This is an unmotivated dog. So I bring this up because I had a new client. We're working with a dog. We're doing some training. And about halfway through the training, it's a brand new session. Dog was starting to get a little tired. And the client says, "Oh, she's just being stubborn." And I said, "Well, no, that's a human trait." I said, "She's not motivated." So what I did as I switched the rewards we were giving the dog, she was just getting burnt out on the full moon dog treats that we were using. So I switched over to some freeze dried stuff I had. She's never had it before. And immediately all her energy came back and she started doing the drills again. It's just a motivational thing. That's all this was. That had nothing to do with her not willingness. She just didn't want to work for those treats anymore. She's getting full. It's called satiation. She's kind of being full. I'm kind of bored of this. I don't want it. It's not an issue of stubbornness. It's an issue of motivation. And I'm not willing to work for this right now. That's all that is. And that's why you get to true obedience later on in second and third phase, where now it's not an option. You have to listen. You are not going to chase the cat across the yard. You are not going to bark at the mailman. That's true obedience. That's an obligation or a compulsion to listen and to obey. Okay. So that's myth number 3. Myth number 4, using the stay command. This drives me absolutely bat bonkers crazy when I hear people tell their dog, "Sit, stay." So if you didn't say stay and you told them sit, the dog is just free to walk away? I don't get it. Like, it doesn't make sense when you write it on paper. So if I tell the dog down and they down and I say, "Good boy," they can just jump right back up unless I tell them stay? Because how did you teach stay without just teaching the down to mean down forever or sit forever or come forever? It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense on paper. It doesn't make sense from an ABA standpoint. You're stacking commands. You're doing weird stuff and causing side effects. It can cause issues with your dog being understanding and being really, really confused. If someone can explain it to me, by all means, try. But it doesn't make sense when you try to write it out. So when I teach commands, the command means stay. And that's why we go through that reward schedule and go into duration and do those things to teach the dog that you have to hold the command until given a free command or another command. You do not need to teach stay. That's the biggest waste of time and biggest confusion you're going to cause with your dog, teaching stay. So that's myth number 4. Myth number 5, purely positive dog training is best. You can get a long way with purely positive reinforcement, not having any type of corrections, not using any type of condition punishers, anything like that, using just simply reward-based behavioral training. Meaning I give a reward, high value rewards for the behaviors I want. I just basically extinguish or ignore behaviors I don't want, right? So You can get a long way with that. The issue is once that dog is no longer motivated by whatever you have to offer to them, and they're more motivated by something in the environment that's out of your control, an uncontrolled stimulus, as we would call it, you are going to lose control of that dog unless you're constantly keeping your dog in a massive calorie deficit where all they're thinking about is food. And when they see something, they know, oh, I just looked at mom, I looked at dad, I'm going to get a reward, I'm going to get food, so I'm really, really hungry. That's the only way it's going to work. And that's completely unethical and extremely inhumane as far as I'm concerned. So I'd rather give my dog a couple corrections in their life and never have to really do it again in those situations than starve my dog for the entire life. That's just insane to me. We do not need to do that. Okay. In a controlled environment, like we start in first phase here, yes, that's all we're doing, purely positive. Just reinforcing behaviors we want. Teaching the dog how to perform is completely okay. But at some point, you're going to encounter something that is much more motivational than the treats that you have. And you need to have something that's more motivational than the stimulus, than the cat running through the yard, than the dog barking, than the mailman, than the doorbell. You have to be able to have something that can be more motivational. And that's where second and third phase comes in and different training implements, star mark collars and e-collars in third phase. So purely positive, you can get a long way with it. And for some dogs, you can go a really long way with it. But at some point in time, you will encounter something that your dog does not care about anymore, that treats in your hand. They're going to care about that environmental stimulus. So, made it this far, myth number 6. And I heard this again from the same client about the stubbornness comment about make eye contact. They were told by a previous trainer who they failed with that when you say your dog's name, they need to make eye contact with you. Eye contact is bad. Eye contact in the dog world, especially hard eye contact, is a challenge. That's why one of the calming signals of dogs is blinking. You'll see a stressed dog blink and tongue flick. Blink and tongue flick. That's their way of trying to calm whoever's staring at them. So if you're making hard eye contact with your dog, and you see them go, or they're stressed. They're giving you a signal of, I am stressed. Let's change something, please. Okay. You'll see that. There's that really great video where I think it's a Dogo Argentino or white pit bull, something like that bites that reporter in the face or that news anchor person, whatever it was. And this dog gives all kinds of calming signals right before the bite happens. Same thing with that police dog that bit that reporter in the face. It's giving all kinds of calming signals. It's telling this person, back off, I'm uncomfortable. Bam, it goes right to the bite. So having eye contact is not good. I never want to make hard eye contact with my dog. Okay. And I'm going to share and show some videos here of why this is. And I'm going to use the example of wolves and Australian shepherds herding. Okay. And this is where the hard eye contact comes from. It's a stalking mechanism. It's a way of a dog hunting or a wolf hunting as they stalk their prey. Wolves used it, just like Australian shepherds used it, to control animals and get them to break and get them to run and things like that. Same way that shepherds use them to get the sheep to move. They're using that hard eye contact. Remember, this is ethology. So when we look at things from an evolutionary standpoint, if you are an ungulate, you're a non-apex predator, and something with fur and fangs is staring at you, that is bad. It means I need to move away and put distance between me and this thing. This is going to be the best option for me to stay away and stay alive. And that's what we did when we started selecting. When I say we as humans started selectively breeding these dogs from wolves to do certain tasks. Now, the difference is the herding breeds, like the Australian shepherds, we kept in the stock, but we took out the catch and kill. We bred that out of them. And so they're constantly using that hard stare. They're stalking, they're moving the sheep around and controlling them just like a wolf pack would do when they're hunting. Okay, the only difference is they're not going in and grabbing and taking this animal down and killing it. They're stopping at that point of just moving them around. So I want you to see this so you can understand what it really looks like. So the guy is obviously, he's on an ATV, see that stalk, the dog is nice and low, it's going. He's clearly giving these dogs commands, but they're pushing these sheep down this mountain. They're pushing them down this hill, and they're not getting so close that the sheep just explode out like a starburst, right? They're going in and controlling them, keeping them bunched up. And that's another ethology thing from sheep, understanding that we are safer together than separate. So they're staying naturally bunched, but at the same time, these dogs aren't running right between them to split them up and do those things because they're not trying to separate just one out. They're trying to keep them all together and moving. Okay. So we see this happening here. These are clearly well-trained dogs. I could watch this all day. It's beautiful. Okay. Another really great video, but this is from the air. Clearly it's filmed from a drone. Now, all these sheep are getting herded into this one little gate. And you can see the dogs, we got one over here that's keeping them from splitting off because this thing's just staring at me. A thing with fur and fangs is staring at me. Then you got these ones pushing, right? At the bottom, pushing up, pushing up, pushing up, pushing through the funnel. And you got some dogs over here at the top, and they're kind of pushing them off. As they start to go too wide, that lead dog up there, he go nice and high, got him redirected. Now he's coming back down, pushing him down, using that hard eye contact. Remember, something with fur and fangs is staring at me. These sheep don't understand that these herding breeds are not going to kill them, but they do understand from a ethology standpoint and from a evolutionary standpoint, this thing with fur and fangs is staring at me. Just a second ago, I'm going to back up just a little bit because it's beautiful. You see this dog down here, right? As these sheep start to come out, back up a little bit more. There we go. A little bit more. There we go. So see this dog come running up right here to the side because he noticed these sheep are coming here. Now he just stops. Boom. That dog's pure presence changed the direction of these. It's that hard stare, that hard eye contact. We're starting to move these sheep. They're going back in. And this is beautiful. I can watch this all day. Okay. Now, all right, so we got to see the domestic version of this with those shepherds herding those sheep here. So now I want to take a look at something a little different. Share my screen here. So that same exact predatory stalk, stare, and move exists here in our wild canines. Right here in wolves, doing the same thing. They're chasing, trying to separate one out. Obviously, the difference is they're going to catch and kill whatever they're doing here. And it's like one wolf chasing this one. And got away. Oh, brutal. So I'll have to see another chase here. Kind of get that confusion. They're splitting, going in for the catch. Okay. So it's the same genetic instinct going on here. So now we have the same thing. So we saw this exact same scenario with those shepherds, those Australian shepherds with the sheep. They're bunching them up. They're holding them together. But here, instead of keeping them moving in one simple direction, these wolves are trying to cause that confusion. They want them to split. They want them to move and go somewhere else so they can get to the weakest one. So they're here doing that same hard eye stare to get them to move, and now they're moving, getting them to break up, causing confusion here versus a controlled stock and a controlled herd. The wolves are doing that same thing, but using it in a way to cause confusion and putting pressure on them. There's probably some baby calves in the middle here, and these bison are surrounding them, keeping them there. keep them safe, because wolves understand that prey sometimes fights back. And that's why bison have antlers and they have big heads. They'll swing around and kick and do things like that and hurt these wolves. So they have to be cautious about what they're doing, just like the herding breeds have to be. Still, that same genetic instinct of that hard eye stare that we're talking about comes into play. Something with fur and fangs is looking at me. It's not a good thing. And so we hear the same exact predatory instinct of chasing them and going for the catch. So they go in, catch, and kill. So we don't see that with the shepherd breeds because they're not bred to go that full instinct of catching and killing. But these wolves are. So we use that genetic component and bred that out of the catch and kill out of the shepherds. However, with the wolves, they're going to go through that full process, but it all starts that hard eye stare, that hard stop, that locking on to go through the steps to work up to a catch and kill. This is a myth. We do not want eye contact with our dogs. So I recorded a quick little video with my buddy TJ here, doing this hard stare, making eye contact with him, holding that eye contact when he's in a command, just to demonstrate that this is a very uncomfortable thing for dogs. Now, TJ is a big Roddy, big male. He's intact, has really no reason to show any type of aggression towards me like that. He hasn't yet. I provide for him. I spend a lot of time with him because his dad travels a lot, so he spends a lot of time with me here. But that being said, you'll see here where he starts to give calming signals. Watch TJ's eyes. I'm staring at him, giving him a really hard stare. He's staring back. I have a tennis ball that he wants. Blink. Get a little closer, just kind of moving a little bit. Still a hard stare. He gets uncomfortable. Give me a little tongue flick and he laid down. Okay. Same thing. Look at his face. Watch his eyes. Making hard eye contact with him. He's going to start getting a little uncomfortable. He's blinking. He's giving me a little calming signal. He's blinking. I'm not blinking. He's blinking at me. Calming. Okay. He's looking away. He's breaking that eye contact. But he's like, what's this dude doing? Because he's staring at me and I don't want to lose eye contact with him. So I don't want him attacking me or whatever. Okay. Calming signal. I freed him up. Okay. Don't want to push him too far. Okay. So we see, even with our domestic dog, that hard eye contact is not acceptable. It makes them uncomfortable. We don't need to do it. It's just not needed. So you see this from an ethology standpoint. You see it with TJ here. You can see this with the wild canines. Hard eye contact is instinctually wired into a dog's brain to be a bad thing. So, myth busted. Do not do this. You do not need to do hard eye contact or any type of eye contact with your dog during a training session. It's not important. So, as always, thank you for your support. Check out these videos here. I'll catch you guys on the next podcast. And as always, train smart.